The Rogues are a well-known staple in the Flash's villains gallery. Always defeated and jailed up, they just never seem to figure out a way to battle the Flash successfully. So what if they got their act together? This is the complete story series. Here we recap your favorite comic book storylines in a fast and tight package. But just telling you what happened would be boring, so instead, we add a dramatic flair with music, voices, and sometimes sound effects. Now the Rogues consist of Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, Heatwave, Golden Glider, and Captain Boomerang. Or at least they did until Captain Boomerang left for the Suicide Squad. But the weird thing is that the Rogues are currently missing from Central City. You see, they broke out of prison not long ago, and with everything going on for the Flash, he hasn't been able to find them. So many other villains in Central City, and on top of that, he had to deal with Godspeed and his new kid Flash. But as the Warden reminds Flash that the Rogues are in fact missing, Flash reminds him that the Rogues were pardoned for their recent heroic acts. Is it possible that the Rogues have hung up their weapons and quit? The Warden doesn't quite believe that, and as much as Flash wants to believe it, he decides that he should perhaps at least look into it. He begins to follow the trails as Flash and as Barry Allen, asking the various families and known associates of the Rogues. His investigation led him to a woman who taught Lisa Snart how to ice skate. Lisa goes by the rogue name Golden Glider. Barry begins to speak with her and she presents a photograph of both Leonard and Lisa Snart before they were Captain Cold and Golden Glider. In the photo, Barry saw a smiling Leonard with his father in front of the Polar Ice Building. So in a crack of lightning, he arrives at the scene as Flash, and it's there that he eventually finds the Rogues' safe house in an underground lair. He does question why everyone has an underground lair and wonders if he should maybe get one, but the big thing that he notices is that the Rogues aren't there and they seem to have left in a hurry. So as he begins to gather up evidence, a countdown begins, and Barry is left with 10 seconds to get what he can and get out of the building before it explodes. But he got too greedy and was almost caught in the explosion. Luckily, he vibrated at just the right frequency to allow the explosion to pass through him. While this would have been the end of the investigation for many heroes, Barry moved fast enough to get all of the important information about where the Rogues are. And he knows what they're doing and he knows how to stop them, even if they aren't in Central City anymore. Except this time, Barry is wrong. Because as he leaves to investigate what he thinks is going on, Captain Cold is watching with the rest of the Rogues and tells them, "The Flash has left. It's time." Over in Corto Maltese, there's currently a statue made out of gold and jewels. It's a statue of Mercury, and the Rogues are here to steal it as they come flying in through the window. Ice is blasted on the floor as Captain Cold creates a bridge for them, and Trickster lands putting down a box that blocks all signals exiting the building, leaving it open for Mirror Master to begin the master plan. But just as they get their glass planes around the statue, all of the Rogues hear the telltale crack of a speedster arriving. They turn to see a smiling Barry Allen, upset that he made a better entrance than them. He runs right to Trickster, grabbing and throwing him aside before ducking underneath Heatwave's blast and uppercutting him. A bolt of lightning flies past him as he nearly dodges it, and he runs up to the mirrors to dodge the bolts running off of them. Golden Glider slides out of a mirror, wrapping her ribbons around the Flash, but he uses his own momentum to throw her into Weather Wizard, stopping the both of them. He then tells the Rogues, it's over, but Captain Cold grabs a hostage, demanding that Flash stop and let them go. Flash smiles. You won't do it. You told me once the Rogues have a code. No killing. Snart snaps at him. There's exceptions to the rule. It's fight or flight, Flash. Do you want to see how cold-blooded I can be? Not really, but there is something I do know. Snart is right-handed. In a whoosh, the Flash grabs the hostage, freeing her from Cold's grasp, and then he comes back with the full speed of a speedster, punching Captain Cold and shattering him. You're a mirror construct. You're not the real Snart. He then looks at Mirror Master. This is your doing. Where are the Rogues? None of them are here. He runs over to grab Mirror Master, but Mirror Master begins to fall backwards, smirking. Bravo, Flash. You see, we needed to get you out of the city for every second possible, but that's also why we chose this museum. It has mirrors everywhere. All over the museum, Mirror Master begins to step out of his mirrors as mirror constructs of Flash, and they begin to grab the hostages. He rockets around, breaking apart the constructs of himself, but he did so quickly that all of the mirrors cut up his fist. Then all of the shards of the mirror become a giant mirror Flash, which begins to mirror his very speed. It grabs the Flash, slamming him into a giant mirror with Mirror Master taunting him. So he thinks of only one answer to this problem: turn the mirror shards into dust. So he vibrates at the speed of 10,000 vibrations a second. All of the shards begin to turn to dust, except as he was facing off against himself, Mirror Master grabbed the statue and made a break for it before warning the Flash that the Rogues were just getting started. Flash splits back to Central City to see the horrible truth. The Rogues have finally won. They split split up and hit multiple locations. How can the Flash catch them if he doesn't know where to run? Standing in the crime scene of one of the heists, Iris West walks over asking Flash how he lost to the rogues. He tells her he isn't sure. He honestly doesn't even know what they stole here. She explains that she was hoping that the rogues would finally realize that the city wants them to be heroes, but sadly it looks like they slipped right back into being villains. Flash tells her that he's given them so many chances, hoped for some good in them, but they've always proved him wrong, and that he thinks about what Iris got him thinking about. Wait, what did they steal? He counts up everything stolen, and all of it was big and bold items, from the statue to every jewel in a jewelry store to everything in a bank, including the safety deposit boxes. It was their biggest heist ever. It was their last heist, which means they don't ever intend on coming back to Central City, and if you weren't coming home ever again, where would you go? He runs over to each of their homes and he finds Heatwave standing in front of his childhood home holding flowers. I went to their graves first, Heatwave, but then I remembered your old childhood home. Heatwave doesn't turn around to face the Flash. Instead, he slowly puts on his helmet and he tells him, "I only have one regret, Flash. That's that I didn't burn down the whole neighborhood." And with that, he begins to light up all of the houses around them, setting fires in every single home. Flash quickly runs into each building, rescuing the poor civilians, and then he comes rocketing back to face off against Heatwave, but he gets a full blast of the heat gun. He drops to the ground as Heatwave walks over. "I've never burnt you this bad, Flash. After a few months of skin grafts, you'll be okay." He then walks away to meet with the rest of the rogues. They're meeting on a boat offshore, and when Heatwave shows up, he tells them that he got to burn the Flash. Captain Cold knows the truth, doesn't he? The Flash didn't lose to Heatwave. He let himself get burnt so that he can follow him. As he tells them to get ready to roll, the Flash is instantly on the boat, taking out every rogue except for Cold. He then walks over to Cold, and Cold freezes his foot in place. You see, Flash, I know the truth. The Flash always beats the rogues. So while they were stealing the money, I broke into Star Labs to steal something else. The specs for the black hole weapon that created the Speed Force storm and threw you for a loop. He then pulls out a new weapon. Say hello to my black ice gun. Let's see how smart you are now. Using his new Speed Force black hole empowered ice gun, he begins to spread ice over everything, blasting the Flash over and over, and he can't outrun it because it's empowered by the black hole, which is slightly empowered by the Speed Force itself. The battle is epic, and the Flash asks him, "Why do this? You took the black hole tech and you were able to reverse engineer it into something like this? You could work for Star Labs. Do good for the city. You want me to work a desk job, Flash? That's a waste of a life, buddy. I love being a rogue." Flash keeps trying to reach Captain Cold, but again and again he blasts him with the black ice, holding him in place, and the ice combined with the black hole tech begins to literally start to tear apart the Flash. We like being rogues, just like you like being the Flash. Admit it, you don't play hero for them. You play it because it gets your rocks off. Admit it. Using everything he has, the Flash vibrates at just the right speed, creating a heat wall around his body to keep the Cold away from him. Then, superheated up, he charges forward shouting, "Never!" and he punches Captain Cold out. He then tries to dismantle the black ice gun, except the rest of the rogues have woken up, and the Flash is now weakened. Using the last bits of his energy, he begins to battle against them, and he turns to them all. "You claim that Central City is your turf, that what you stole, you only stole while protecting the city. But look at the damage you've caused. It goes deeper than the stuff you steal. The people hide from the rogues, not out of respect, but out of fear." Golden Glider comes out of nowhere, wrapping up the weakened Flash, and she puts the black ice gun to his head. You know, maybe that's what's been holding the rogues back. The whole moral code thing. We could just end this now. Captain Cold steps forward, holding his hands out, trying to talk her down. "Sis, give me the gun." But she throws the tied up Flash to the ground, hops on his back with the gun pressed to his head. How many times have we done this, Leonard? Even this time, our last heist, the Flash couldn't let us go. Everyone tried to talk her down, but they couldn't. And Lisa Snart pulled the trigger, trying to murder the Flash, except the gun backfired, throwing her back, freeing the Flash, and in an instant, he finished off all of the rogues. When he tried to dismantle the gun, he must have caused a short circuit, and if he hadn't, he would have been dead. Captain Cold told the Flash that what he was doing was for himself, not the people. But the truth is, yes, he does it for himself, because giving the people of Central City an opportunity for justice brings a smile to the Flash's face. The fact that Cold thinks that that is selfish says more about Cold than Flash. Now, the next storyline goes back to Kid Flash, and we're going to discover what happened to Daniel West, the Reverse Flash, who is technically Kid Flash's father. That's the next plot, Sins of the Father. You can go check it out yourself right now, or wait around until we get to it. But either way, you should probably subscribe to the channel to keep up to date in your favorite comic books. And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, where we can discuss whatever you want. I'll see you next time right here.